All right, so let's talk about a really simple content marketing strategy. Now, with digital marketing, there's a lot of different types of strategies and skill sets you can use. And today we're going to focus down on content marketing strategy. So let's get started. So content used to be, why do people read newspaper? They read newspaper for the news, but the news are like content on the newspaper. But if you think on a bigger picture, on a bigger scale, how does newspaper and media companies make money? Oh, they make money with ads. So they have content and then we have ads. So the reality is this hasn't really changed today. Content is still always accompanied by ads, and ads is always accompanied by content. If there's no content, there will be no ads. So let's rewind a little bit. When TV came about, it is one of the best, most effective advertising medium to hit us as men. People are glued to the TV. People watch TV all day. They use the TV to receive information and also news. And it's one of the biggest, most successful mass medium marketing channel for mankind. How did TV become such a big hit? Now, if you think about it, TV really is a box for content. There's a lot of content on TV. You watch different videos, you watch different movies. Even if it's bad, some people today need to have the TV on at home. So it's still something that people watch today. Then we have something like YouTube. So YouTube generates 19.7 billion per year for Google. Now, this number is in 2020. But right now, I think the number has increased. It's a lot of money. How does YouTube come about? Now, YouTube is based off a user-generated content modus operandi, let's call it, where people create content and put up their content on YouTube. But if there's no content on YouTube, there will be no YouTube. And with content, ads came about. Then we have things like TikTok. TikTok generates somewhere near around 9.7 billion per year. And if you think about TikTok, what is on TikTok? Content. So the truth is, without content, all these businesses would not exist today. Now, they were smarter in a way that they make use of their audience to create content for themselves. So they don't actually create content of their own. That's the difference. But needless to say, these days, if you are a business, it's still important to create content, because without creating content, nobody can actually understand who you are, and you're not actually differentiating yourself with the other businesses out there. So what's the difference between your business and the other business? To think about it, back in 20, 40 years ago, you could be a market leader in a very small area. Let's just say you are a cobbler man's shoes. You can be a very average cobbler because you're the only one in a certain area. That makes you someone who is the best, right? Because there's nobody to actually compete with you. But these days, we are living in a knowledge economy. If you know how to do digital marketing, so there's thousands and thousands of other people easily collected to within just a click away. So we have moved into the knowledge economy. And with the knowledge economy, it's really getting harder to differentiate ourselves from the others. So the only way to differentiate ourselves is to tell our story in the form of content. How would your business tell its story to your audience? It's normally with content. That's the only way to tell stories and to differentiate your brand from the other brands. I mean, some bigger brands, they have budgets of advertising where they can run advertising and video ads again and again to tell their story. But as small businesses, medium businesses, you probably don't have that huge amount of budget, right? And this is why content is quite important today. When we talk about content, so we know that we have content on YouTube, we have content on Instagram, we have content on Facebook, we have content on every different kind of format. So content can mean a lot of different things. It can mean written content, it can mean videos, it can mean photos, it can mean social media posts, and a lot of different kind of things. But these are all content. Today's topic, I'm just going to focus on the content that can be searched up. So I'm going to talk specifically about the content that people would search for. When I say search for, a lot of people tend to think that searching content must be something like an article, right? Now, it does not have to be. For example, if you have a video content that is useful, there are also people searching up for content on YouTube, right? For example, if you want to learn how to, let's say, play the guitar, you probably search for a video, not an article. I don't want to waste the time, so I'm going to go straight into it. Now, we're going to talk about content for SEO. So before we go into the content bit for SEO, and it's a simple strategy today I'm going to share, let's talk a bit about SEO. So I think SEO is often misunderstood by many people. So basically, SEO is the practice of optimizing a site so that it shows up on the search engine whenever someone makes a search query. A search query is basically keywords. Now, search engine or SEO basically refers to things like Google, Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, and all those kind of things. The reason why so many people only refer to Google when they talk about SEO is because Google owns 90% of the search market in the whole wide world. So out of 100% of people searching online, 90% of them actually search on the Google search engine. And this is what makes Google so big as well. But if you really think about it, Google is simply an answering machine. So this is what I taught at a class just a few days ago in Singapore, right? Basically, people throw questions to Google and Google answers their questions by providing them the most relevant solutions. So the question is, as a business owner or a website owner, how do we get our content, the ones that we create, to show up when people search for certain queries? So let's understand Google a little bit more, right? So the way it works is it indexes, it crawls and indexes. So when we say crawl, what Google does is sends out robots, right? Robots and spiders that goes out to the internet and crawls all these web pages, including yours, including ours. It basically identifies what this web page is about and then puts them into their database, which is super huge. So when someone searched for a certain query, for example, a few weeks ago, when I moved into my new house, I was looking for a ladder. So I searched for ladder in PJ, and then a few things showed up. When I search for something, Google will show me something that is relevant towards my search. So basically, it's an answering machine. Normally, people talk about, is your site shown on the SERP, the SERPs, right? The SERP stands for Search Engine Results. So basically, to determine the content to create, so we're talking about content marketing, right? So what kind of content should we create? Now, the best way to determine the type of content, the title to create, is to find out what people are searching for. What do they want? We don't just create content out of our own minds thinking that it's going to be the best content, but to create content that people actually want. So this is really, really simple. I'm going to show you a quick case study as well later at the end of today, at the end of the session, where we at Lead, what we did was we reverse engineer, what kind of content do people want, and then created content for that exact purpose. So when people search online, there are normally three things that they do. One is informational searches. Two, directional searches. And three, transactional searches. For example, information searches are basically questions. How do I remove a pimple on my face? How do I train my dog? How do I drive safer? How do I connect the TV? So when I'm searching for information, I'm asking for questions. Then we have directional searches. Now, directional searches are basically people who are looking for directions. For example, apple.com contact, right? I'm looking for a direction to a certain part of a website. For example, the lead.io address, the lead.io email, Ruben's email. So I'm looking for directions, and that's what we call a directional search. Then we have transactional searches. So transactional searches are very exciting because these are people who are ready to buy something. For example, that day I was looking to buy a drill and I searched for Bosch GE16RE drill, and then I see what comes up. Right? I'm looking to buy something. That's a transactional search. So there are three types of searches in conclusion that people search for when it comes to Google or any search engine out there. Now, we're going to focus a lot on informational because when it comes to content, we are basically satisfying an information search. So there are two ways to find out searches. There are many, many ways to find out what people are searching for. The most obvious ones would be using a keyword search tool. But today, I'm going to share a really simple way for you to identify what people search for and then create something to satisfy that search. All right? Because if you've learned about Google, it's all really about satisfying what people are asking. Google is an answering machine. And that's the key to SEO. Now, SEO can be very technical. People can tell you all sorts of textbook things. But when it comes to real life, it's just about answering people's question. All right, are you ready? All right, so the first way to find out what people are searching for is simply to use Google search. And here's how you do it. Do a search under maybe something around your niche. I'll show you how to do this in a while. Number two, what you want to focus on is this column here called People Also Ask. This is one of the best, most informational column, which I do and use for a lot of my content to basically see what people are searching for and then create an answer for it. That makes a lot of sense, right? Find out what people search for under what people also ask. This is an informational search. And then list them out in a content planner sheet. I prepared a content planner sheet for you as well. And I'm going to show you how to turn this into a content to create. All right, I'm going to drop you some tips here and there. And hopefully by this weekend, you'll be able to create something that ranks highly in SEO and receives a lot of visits as well. All right, moving on. Now, the second method to actually look for content to create is to use a keyword tool. One of the keyword tools I can recommend is something like Ubersuggest. Now, Ubersuggest is not the best keyword tool out there. It's one of the okay, not that great, not that bad, but it's affordable. You can use it for free as well, but up to a certain limit. But if you're looking to pay for a tool to do SEO and content researching, then Ubersuggest is something that you might want to consider. Now, there are other tools like Ahrefs and all those, bigger software platforms, but they are very expensive. They easily cost you $200, $300 per month. And doesn't really make sense if you are, focusing on different types of marketing strategies, not just SEO. Anyway, to find out content, what you want to do, quite simple. Basically, you just go to Ubersuggest, put in the keywords you want to search for, and look at the questions tab. Let me just go into some practical, and I'll show you how to do this. All right, so this is my browser, okay? By the way, this is Lead Knowledge Circle, so make sure you join this group, and if you're not joined yet, I'm just going to leave it here. Okay, so the first way to find out for content that people want to achieve read up is to do this. For example, let's just say I am a tennis coach and I want to look at what people are searching for when it comes to tennis. So tennis, maybe beginner. All right, so just do a quick search like this. I'm not doing anything complex. And basically, what I want you to look at is scroll down and look at the People Also Ask tab. Now here, you will see people asking questions. How do I start learning tennis? Can you teach yourself to play tennis? Is beginner tennis hard? And if you want more questions, all you really have to do is to click on this button and more will actually load. More will actually load, right? You see how many loads up? So these are basically questions that people actually ask on Google. So if we know this information, if we know that these are actually questions that people ask, can we create content, whether it's a written content, whether it's a video, whether it's a social media post, to answer these sort of questions here? Does that make sense? From here, what I want you to do is then to start planning for a piece of content. So to do that, I have prepared for you a content planner. And this is what we also do as well. Now we can see that we already have information here, which I'm going to actually delete and start over. I'm going to show you from scratch of how we actually create content. So let's just say I'm looking to create content around tennis, and I'm specifically aiming this content towards beginners who want to pick up tennis. So what are some questions we can actually answer? Okay, I'm going to go back to my Google results here. How do I start learning tennis? So that's a good question. Okay, so I'm going to put in here, how do I start learning tennis? And just leave it there for now. Now go back to Google and look for more questions. Can you teach yourself to play tennis? Okay, I like that. Go back to Google. What age is too late to start tennis? Now, that's a good question as well. So I'm going to put this right here. And I'm going to gather maybe about 5 to 8 questions. So let me just go, okay, let me see what questions are great. Okay, learn tennis. So when we do different searches, we'll also find different types of questions. How long does it take to learn tennis? That's a good question. Yeah. Now, I myself play tennis, so I know how is it like. So are tennis lessons worth it? Good question. Why are tennis lessons so expensive? Okay, so let's say I have enough questions here. Okay, so the task here is to list out the questions that people actually ask on Google, because we are trying to understand our prospects here. So many times in business and in marketing, people create all sorts of different marketing ads and content that does not really relate to their prospects or customers because they're just figuring that out in their head. But if we can actually go back to the other equation, look out to what our customers want and is searching for, then cater something towards them, cater a solution towards them, then that makes so much sense. All right, so the second way to look for keywords is to use something like Ubersuggest. All right, so I'm going to share a few things for you, yeah? So I'm going to share Ubersuggest, and I'm also going to share this sheet here so that you can actually create your own planning. So I'm going to give you a viewer access, but make sure to actually make a copy for yourself. So if you are signed into Google, if you access this sheet, all you really have to do is click on File and then make a copy. When you make a copy, you save it into your own Google Drive. Don't save it into mine. Okay, so you got this sheet here. It's quite simple to use and you got Ubersuggest. So the second way of looking for keywords is to go into Ubersuggest and basically just do a keyword search. For example, tennis beginner. Now we are looking in Malaysia, so I'm going to change the search results into Malaysia. So I'm going to go for English/Malaysia. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is to go down into the keyword ideas. So let's give it a few seconds for it to load. And basically, when in here, I want you to click on View All Keyword Ideas, okay, to go into the Keyword Ideas tab. And then here's the thing. I want you to click on Questions. You see we have suggestions, related, questions, prepositions, and comparisons, right? Now we are creating content to answer questions to help our prospects and customers. So I'm going to go into questions, and under questions, here you see some possible questions that you can answer. How to serve tennis. How to serve tennis balls, basically, right? What tennis racket to buy for a beginner? Okay, this is a good question. I'm going to copy this one, okay, and put into my content planner. Here are some great questions. So assuming that I've done my research, I've searched out for some content ideas or some question ideas that I want to create for my audiences. Now, what's next is you start creating the content. So for example, today I'm going to show you a quick way of framing and structuring a content, an effective one to answer the questions that we just put out. Now, of course, in my planning sheet here, you also see things like focus keyword, volume, SEO difficulty, and more. Now, this information is taken from Uber Suggest. So for example, what tennis racket to buy for a beginner? This specific keyword. Okay, what's the volume of searches? If you go back to Uber Suggest, we can see that the volume is now 0, which can be quite demotivating, right? You might say, Ruben, what tennis racket to buy for beginner? Nobody's searching for it. So people say, don't go and work on this keyword because there's nobody searching for it. But in my experience, what most of the numbers you see in keyword tools are basically just an indicator, right? If you do the same search on keyword tool like Uber Suggest and keyword tool number 2 and 3, you'll find that the numbers is almost always different. So keyword tools are best used as indicator. And one of the good tips I can share with you is because when you go to Google and search for something like tennis beginner, okay, and if Google tells you this information here, right, this is always out of real people searching. So you know there is people actually searching for these questions. Now the exact keyword might be different. People might put in all sorts of different types of queries, but today Google has become so smart that they don't have to actually use the exact keyword. 10 years ago, yes, you have to use exact matches. Like if people ask for how do I start learning tennis? You want to actually have how do I start learning tennis? But Google today is so smart that algorithms can actually detect and identify different types of words and sentences to make sense of it, right? Go and read up the latest algorithms and things like Google BERT, BERT, yeah? So the latest algorithm is called Google Flock, FLOC. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. Now, so I'm going to go to Google Drive and I'm going to bring up a content, yeah? So new, Google Docs. I'm going to create a quick topic title here, just out of my mind. Again, this requires some research, but I'm strapped for time right now. I'm just going to do something quick. So maybe a beginner's guide, okay? Beginner's guide. How to learn tennis. Now what we're going to do next is go into our content planner and basically take all these questions here and we're going to begin to answer these questions, okay? So for example, how do I start learning tennis? So let's say this is going to be my heading. So maybe in our content article, we have a quick introduction. Okay, let me just do some quick writing for you right now, yeah? I don't want to bore you, but this is essential. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, this is a content piece, yeah? Are you looking to learn how to play tennis? Maybe that's a little harder given that we are all under lockdown right now. And then we have additional intro content. Okay, I'm not going to write a whole article for you here, but intro content. And then we go into our first question. So how do I start learning tennis? Okay, the best way to start is to, in fact, work with a coach or someone you know is a seasoned tennis player. That's because they have the knowledge and experience to show you the first grip or how to show you how to grip the tennis racket. All right, so I'm creating all sorts of different content here, but you get the idea. We can put more content here and even drop in some advertisements, something like that. Looking for a coach, click here, and this link can go into somewhere within our webpage or within somewhere that allows them to, get a free trial with a coach or buy something, up to you. But this is how we direct, audiences from searching for a piece of question, stumbling upon our content, and then from our content, we have CTAs, call to actions, buttons, this and that, to get them to do something, to become one of our audience. But it's through content that we connect with people, right? And the way we create content can be strategic, like what I'm doing right now, because I'm just simply answering people's questions. Okay, let's say I continue. Okay, so we have more content, and then let's answer the next question. So our first question was, how do I start learning tennis? Okay, so I'm going to answer the next question here. Is it possible to teach yourself to play tennis? Now, you might notice that I'm not using the exact same keyword as you see here, right? It's a bit different. You might say, hey, Ruben, you're doing something different right now. Is it okay? The answer is yes, because like I told you earlier, Google has become so smart that you don't have to actually use the exact keyword. In fact, if you use the exact keyword for your content, then actually you are in a risk of getting penalized because Google sees you as someone who's trying to game the system. I'm going to write something. Yes, it is in fact possible to teach, but you teach yourself, but with one caveat. It's going to take you a long time, and then I'm going to put more content, and more content. Once we're done here, then we can begin to answer even more questions. Okay, am I too old to learn tennis? Which is kind of like the same answer towards this question. What age is too late to learn tennis, right? Is this a little bit different, but it's quite near. Am I too old to learn tennis? So I can say, so what age is in fact too late to start tennis? Assuming you have never even been or never even held a racket before, here's a recommendation by the association. Let's just say that we have bullet points, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whichever. All right, so at this point, you can see that I'm creating content based out of the questions from people have asked. When I finish this amazing piece of content, I'll probably have answered 10 questions, 10 amazing questions that people are actually asking. So when someone then goes to Google and search for how do I start learning tennis, do you think my content will show up? Probably yes. Why? Because my content is a content that seeks to answer so many questions and it beats out any of these websites out there with the immense value of content and answers that I'm sharing. All right. So I'm going to leave it here for you to digest. Basically, find out what people are searching for, then create content, whether in a written form like this, whether in a video, whether in a social media post, to answer those questions. And this should help you go really far. I want to share with you a quick case study, right, of how we actually use this exact same method at Lead. So here's how the same content strategy generates revenue for us at Lead. And we have this piece of content. So I must be very upfront with you. Not all content you create would actually rank on Google. It's more of being generous and creating content that actually would help. So we have this content called How Much Does a Data Scientist Earn in Malaysia? So what gave us an idea to create this content? We created this content because we noticed that people are actually asking this question a lot. Because when people want to become a data scientist, when they want to pick up the skill sets to become data science skill sets, basically it's a lot of time and effort that they will have to invest. So obviously, they will search out for the prospects for these skill sets. Is this skill sets worth learning? Is it something worth picking up in Malaysia? We just act as someone who answers this question in the form of content. So let me go back to my browser and I'll show you how a typical user would search for something like this online. Okay, so let's say I'm someone who is interested to learn data science. Before I put in all my money, all my time and effort into learning it, I just want to find out. So I'm just going to Google and search for data scientists, maybe Malaysia salary, right? Because I'm looking to see whether it's something, worth going into. So a user will come into here and look at, oh, okay, pay scale, maybe they go inside pay scale, they read pay scale and see, okay, it's about 58,000 a year. Okay. And I want to go back here and I want to start seeing more information and more evidence that it's actually a good prospect. And then you come here and say, oh, this is finally answered. How much does data scientists earn in Malaysia? I'm going to go click on this. Okay, I see lead. I see these people here. I read the article and then, oh, what is this? Launchpad. Your first data science project in 40 minutes is free. Okay, let me click on that. And then I go into a free training here. And then, oh, okay, I can put in my name and email. Get me in right now. So you can begin to see how our content actually pulls in audience into becoming our part of our audience. And then from our audience, we actually give out free webinars, free training and all that to get them to trust what we do. So that's basically how we create content that actually generates revenue for us. And this is basically the whole quick example here. Now, maybe on this page, it's not actually very, very elegant yet. We can actually improve it more, right? If someone is looking to understand how much the data scientists earn in Malaysia, then probably we should actually come up with a pop-in or a call to action that allows them to explore how to become a data scientist instead of launching their data science project. They're not there yet. So do you see how this makes sense when it comes to creating content, answering right questions? Do you see these headlines here? They're basically just questions that we noticed that were being asked on Google, right? What does it mean to be a data scientist? What do you actually do as a data scientist? Right? What's the career prospects? What's the average pay? This is something that people normally ask on Google. And what are the key skill sets? And we can also improve this article from being so extremely wordy to more graphical based, if you get what I mean. Yeah. All right. So this has to be updated. You see, this has been generating for us revenues for the past year, but we have to, eventually update this article, right? To 2021, 2022 and more. All right. So let me just go back to my slides. Like I said, I promise you today's session is going to be super simple. And the reason why I made my presentation simple is so that you can take back something and actually do it rather than just watch a whole 1-2 hours of webinar and workshop and then not do anything. Okay, so what we have learned today, 3 very simple things. One is that every business today is somewhat a media company. So every business today must create content to show off their authenticity, to create trust, and also to tell their story, because people buy through emotions. And how do emotions come about? Through stories. Why do you buy a pair of Nikes? Why do you buy Apple? Because you believe in their story, you believe in their mission, right? Of course, aside from them being a good product, you also trust them. You trust buying a pair of Nikes that the Nikes will not break in the next, I don't know, whatever you do, sports, whichever. So we have learned that every business must create content. 2, we want to figure out what kind of content to create based on what people want. So the mistake that marketers do, and what I did myself last time as well, is to create content based out of thin air. We just think it, oh, I think this would be interesting, so we create content based on it. But what if we have a science-backed approach to looking at what people are searching for, and then we create a content for what they want? That makes a lot of sense. 3, content marketing plus SEO equals to revenue. And the reason for that is because when someone searches for something online, they have a very strong intent. And this is quite different from what you see or the content you see on Facebook. On Facebook, most people, they are bored. They are looking for content that entertains them, right? Makes them feel something. But when it comes to searching, they are looking for a solution. So the customer journey, the behavior is very, very different here. And if you combine content marketing with that search journey, which is SEO, this will always almost give you revenue at the end. Okay. I hope you find this session insightful. Now, a quick infomercial from me. Now it's time to do better marketing. So this is just one of the many types of marketing strategies you can actually do. And I'd like to actually introduce you to Growth Marketing 360, which is a course that we have just started. It covers all of these skill sets that turns you into a full stack marketer with revenue generating skill sets. And these are all skill sets of digital marketing. And like I said, digital marketing is an industry that always have a moving target. The skill sets are always changing. Whatever that you have to learn is always changing. SEO is always changing. Social media is always changing. But what has not changed is people. So people behavior, the habits, what they want and what they need hasn't changed for the last 10,000 years. It's just the platforms that has changed. And as a marketer, be someone who understands people more than being someone that understands Facebook ads algorithm, okay? Because effective marketers understand their customers, the pain problems, the psychographics of their customers. Not so much of, oh, I know how to use Facebook ads, I know how to do this, and I'm going to target everybody I know. That does not work, okay? Always seek to understand your users more. We have just started with the course this week itself on Tuesday night. So every Tuesday night, we have a live session, and we just started off the first one this week. And if you join in Growth Marketing 360 right now, you still have time to catch up by going through the recordings from that day, following up with the upcoming live sessions and also training as well. Okay. So this is my last slide. Growth Marketing 360 is now open for enrollment. Program started on 1st June, Tuesday, and it will continue every single Tuesday night from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., focusing on the journey from A to Z. So this is a program where you're going to pick up complete digital marketing, from starting from the very, very basics of setting up a strategy, from experiencing SEO, doing content marketing, social media marketing, programmatic advertising, looking to paid ads when you're beginning to scale. Now, I always throw a shade on paid ads, and I'll say paid ads is not good, but in truth, paid ads is something very, very important. But the problem is a lot of people jump straight into paid ads without setting a foundation. So that means when they do that, then they find that the ads are not effective. And the reason for that is because they have no trust. I mean, would you just buy something from someone online that you see? Well, maybe you would if it's a commodity. Maybe it's something that you need. Shampoo, then yes, you buy. No problem, right? But if something bigger, what if it's a big service? What if it's the business-to-business company selling a service or product? You wouldn't just buy it like that, because you would have to gain trust first. So doing effective marketing involves a plethora, a lot of skill sets. And an effective marketer would have to learn them, and more importantly, learn about their customers. Now, we have physical classes coming out on the 26th and 27th June. Of course, that is subject to whether we are allowed to run it. But regardless of whether we can run a physical class or not, there will be classes on 26th and 27th done online as well. So we normally have we're normally live streaming our classes. Even though if you run it physically, we also live stream the whole session so that students in other states can also log on and watch and enter and join the whole class itself. Okay. Now, one of the best things about Growth Marketing 360 is you have lifetime support and also group help. All our participants have support from the first time they joined the course back 2 years or 3 years ago up to now. And some of them also come back to the intakes to refresh what they've learned and also to meet new people in the newer intakes. All right. Now, if you're interested to join us at Growth Marketing 360, you can just go and visit thelead.io/growth. Now, if you have questions that you'd like to ask after today, you can always drop me an email at ruben@thelead.io, or just join us in the Lead Knowledge Circle group and ask a question there, share your insights there, and love to hear from you. Oh, by the way, Growth Marketing 360 is a one-time enrollment fee, of 3,299. That's 3,299. And basically, this is a lifetime program. That means you only pay once and you're a student for the rest of your life together with us at Lead. All right, so thank you for joining me today, and thank you for the question. I appreciate it. I hope to see you in the courses. If you're a student, thank you for joining. I can't wait to help you progress in your growth in marketing and also your business. And for the rest of us, I'll see you in the upcoming workshops, webinars, and events that we do. Take care, stay safe, and see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, and welcome to this channel. My name is Ruben, Head of Marketing at Lead. On this channel, you'll find content, tips, guides, and also tutorials on data science, web development, and digital marketing. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the videos, content, and workshops, courses to come. Thanks again.